See, there is more than one right way to do most things, and there is nothing to be ashamed of if you need to approach life, the universe, and everything a little bit differently from everyone else. In this video, I'm sharing why I'm not building a traditional coaching business and what I'm doing instead. Because like many of my peers, I used to think that I was failing. Every time I started and stopped marketing my programs and services, it felt like proof that I wasn't cut out for this work. I didn't realize I had fallen into the trap that so many coaches, healers, and online entrepreneurs fall into. But I broke free from it, and now I'm helping people like you break free from it too. So if you've ever felt frustrated, disappointed, or discouraged by the lack of growth in your business, this video is for you. So what is this trap that I'm talking about? It's the seductive promise of proven step-by-step blueprints of $10,000 months and six-figure incomes. And let's not forget that it all comes wrapped up in that pretty little, "these results are not typical" disclaimer. And perhaps like me, you've bought all of the courses and you've followed all of the advice. You've created a high ticket offer. You've created the low price courses. You've put yourself out there on social media. And while all of that advice is helpful and all of those sexy promises are possible, those programs, they left me feeling stuck, doubting myself, and even questioning my calling to serve. These courses didn't actually teach me the one thing that I really needed to learn: how to become visible in the online space when I've always been pretty much invisible in the real world. I'm introverted, I overthink everything, and I don't want to spend my days pitching free discovery calls or pretending to be something that I'm not. And it seemed like every time I tried to force one of these strategies to work, I just couldn't sustain the energy to keep it going. So let me know if this sounds familiar. I'd start off all excited and determined and hopeful. The self-starter aspect of myself was in high gear and doing all of the things. But then within a few weeks, I would feel drained, physically, mentally, emotionally. And so I'd stop what I was doing because I wasn't seeing any results. And all of the work, it just didn't seem worth it. Have you ever experienced that self-start, self-stopping cycle too? Please tell me I'm not the only one. The thing is, it always made me wonder, am I meant to remain invisible? And this cycle, it repeated itself so many times over the decades. I'd just be living life, and then I'd get this nudge to try again. And I'd feel so deep in my heart that this time would be different. So I'd create a new lead magnet, I'd share it on social media, and then nothing. I realize now that this part was key. And if I had only recognized it sooner, it would have helped me escape the trap sooner. So hopefully this will help you break free from the trap too. See, here's the thing. Showing up on social media, it amped up my anxiety, and it made me feel vulnerable to attack. It activated my overthinking brain like an engine stuck in overdrive, burning fuel fast, wheels spinning, and leaving me mentally and emotionally exhausted. And so I started doubting my lead magnet, my message. I started doubting myself. For 20 years, this happened over and over and over again. And then about a year and a half ago, I decided I needed to choose. I had to choose between myself and what I thought was my life's purpose. I could either be true to myself, or I could force myself to become someone I wasn't, to grow that successful coaching practice that I thought was my calling. So I made that choice. I chose myself. And I gotta tell you, putting my dream to have an online coaching practice behind me, it was such a relief. Such a weight off of my shoulders. And then, you knew there was an and then coming, right? All good stories either have an and then or an until. And then a friend introduced me to a new online business opportunity. It didn't come with the overwhelming pressure of trying to attract clients. And I realized something that changed everything for me. Now I can see how that cycle of self-starting and stopping came from how I was taught to do things from a very young age. Think about it. For most of us, school was standardized. It was mass-produced education, right? One teacher, 20 to 25 students. There was one right way to solve a problem, one answer, one way to succeed. So when we got the wrong answer, we were told we were doing it wrong. And it seems like every generation has to deal with new math, right? My parents didn't understand how my math worked, and I certainly didn't understand how my kids' math worked. And let's not even get into toilet paper math, right? The thing is, there are many different ways to solve a math problem. And there are many ways to start and grow your coaching, your healing, or your online business. But most of the online business courses I've taken follow a similar standardized model. They teach one right way to do things, one correct metric, which is typically income, one definition of success, six-figure income or $10,000 months. And it's no wonder that so many of us coaches and healers feel like we're falling behind or we give up on our dreams. Our hearts and brains are wired differently, and the methods that work for most, they don't necessarily work easily for us. All right, I'm going to switch gears here for a minute, but stick with me. It's relevant and it could change the way you think about yourself and your current business and marketing model. In 1998, just 27 years ago, crazy, Judy Singer, an Australian sociologist, coined the word neurodiversity. She recognized that everyone's brain develops in a unique way. Our brains are like snowflakes or fingerprints. No two are exactly the same. This revolutionary approach to brain science opened the door to better understanding and serving underperforming students. Now teachers can create individual learning plans for these neurodivergent students to help them discover how they look at numbers, colors, and words, to help them discover which math problem-solving method makes sense to them, to help these students see there is more than one right way to do most things, and there is nothing to be ashamed of if you need to approach life, the universe, and everything a little bit differently from everyone else. Which brings me back to the typical training that coaches and healers are getting around starting and growing their businesses. The step-by-step proven methods may work for many, but they won't work for all. And I believe the same kind of individualization that's transforming education could transform how we build our businesses too. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take a journey of discovery to find the business model that suits your personality, your nature, and your goals. All right, I'm going to switch gears again, but I promise it all comes back to that trap we've been caught up in. Have you ever heard a marketing guru tell you to sell the destination? In other words, the outcome, the transformation. How will your clients look and feel after working with you? That's what they tell you to sell, right? So let's pretend you're selling the destination of Disney World. How would you get them there? Would you have them pack a suitcase with the essentials, hop on an airplane to reach their destination fast? Or would you have them pack everything into the car with everything they might need, program their GPS for them, and tell them to hit the road? Either method will get them there, right? But here's what can happen. If they expected to fly but ended up driving just to save a few bucks, they'll arrive at Disney World grumpy and exhausted because they drove for 24 hours straight instead of taking a 4-hour flight. Or maybe they would prefer to drive, but for the sake of time, they decide to fly. They arrive at the airport 2 hours before their flight, they stand in a long TSA line, and they deal with inconsiderate fellow passengers on the plane. And then they have to sprint across the airport to catch their connecting flight. So they arrive at Disney World feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Can you see how the method of travel might impact their enjoyment of Disney World? Let me know in the comments if you've ever been to Disney World. I've been there twice. Once when I was 15, and all that was there was the Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And then again in 1998. Animal Kingdom had just opened, and down in Australia, Judy Singer was changing the way we address the needs of our brains. All right, I promise to tie it up. Let's bring transportation to Disney World and neurodivergence back to the trap that so many of us coaches and healers get caught up in. The trap is thinking there's only one proven step-by-step method to grow our businesses. It is a trap, and most of us have fallen into it. I freed myself from that trap when I simply asked myself a different question. Not, how do I make this business model work, but do I even want this kind of business? And the honest answer was no. So after asking that question and knowing the traditional business model was not well suited for me, I gave myself permission to just let go of that dream. If I had to do it the traditional way, I would rather not do it at all. I didn't want to continue creating signature programs, posting multiple times a day on TikTok, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And when the hamster wheel inside of my head was no longer spinning, I felt this sense of peace and contentment for the first time in decades. That's when I escaped the trap of spending thousands of dollars to work with someone selling a 6-month-long, results not typical destination experience. Now, through a series of unfortunate and fortunate events, I enrolled in an online business and social media marketing program called Legacy Builders. Although many of the promises were the same as the programs I'd enrolled in before, the energy from leadership in the community felt different the first moment I experienced it. The focus was no longer on, you have access to me for 6 weeks or 6 months, to, I'm here for you and my goal. And Michelle O'Neill's goal, the founder of this program, is to help 1,000 people become self-made millionaires. So she's showing up in this community every day to help you become one of them. Holy wow, Batman. And she does it. She shows up every single day. Because our success is the key to her success. Just like your client's success is the key to your success. It's Stephen Covey's win-win habit in action. The other big difference is how Michelle O'Neill talks about goals. She wants us to focus on how many people we want to help, not just how much money we want to make. And people are succeeding in their own unique ways. And here's the weirdest part of it for me. They're succeeding by both following a proven step-by-step blueprint and individualizing the blueprint to suit them best, which is exactly what I'm doing too. It's like, think of how many houses can be built using the same basic floor plan. But in one house, the refrigerator is on the left side, and in the other house, it's on the right. Or they flip the layout. It's kind of amazing, right? So as I watched this happening around me in the community, I started to realize a few things about myself. I am not a 30-second content creator. I'm a metaphor mixing storyteller. Some people love me, but most people don't know that I exist, and I'm okay with that now. And I also gained new clarity around my purpose. You know, the purpose that I put behind myself so that I could stay true to myself. Well, it turns out that my purpose is to share what I've experienced, to teach what I've learned, and to mentor those who want to learn with me. And I can do that without feeling like I'm working against my quiet, thoughtful, private nature. Now, instead of struggling, stressing, I totally geek out while creating 2 long-form videos a week for YouTube. I love crafting the message, pulling in the lesson, and thinking about the impact that I hope will resonate and ripple outward. The best part is I don't feel like I always have to be on social media. I trust that the people who need me will find me when they're ready. In a traditional sense, Legacy Builders is like many other online courses I've taken. It teaches social media marketing skills, content creation, storytelling, branding, list building and affiliate marketing, and so much more. But here's the key difference. The other programs taught me to sell the destination, sell the transformation, sell the outcome, sell the Disney World experience. But what those programs were really selling was the plane, how to get there fast. Now, Legacy Builders also teaches us to sell the destination, because that is what people want, and that is what people are buying. The promise of changing some aspect of their lives by learning new skills and earning more income. So yes, Legacy Builders is also selling the plane. The difference is that Legacy Builders is also teaching you how to fly the plane. When I first joined Legacy Builders, I was delighted to discover that it was like a college internship, and it suited my serious, determined, and goal-focused nature. I thought this program is the key. But then, just like before, it started to feel like a heavy and demanding burden. In the past, this is the point where I stopped. But then in one of the mentoring calls, Michelle O'Neill talked about how much fun we should be having doing this work. And that made me realize that Legacy Builders can also be like my playground. So when my energy starts to stall and this whole online business thing starts to feel too heavy and demanding, I put on my little girl panties, the ones with the pretty little ladybugs on them, and I find ways to be silly, playful, and curious. And then a few weeks ago, I realized that Legacy Builders is actually more like a flight school. Yes, a flight school. It gives you everything you need to learn how to fly the plane to your online business destination. The knowledge and skills you need to know before you ever sit in a flight simulator. It gives you the time to fiddle with the knobs and figure out what the dials mean. And then you climb into the cockpit of your own coaching or healing business. You feel safe, you feel confident, and you don't need a co-pilot, and you don't have to ask the tower for clearance to take off. If you're tired of feeling trapped by the blueprints and big promises of traditional online programs, if you feel like you're wasting your time and always second-guessing yourself, if you feel like you're falling behind on the business you know you're meant to grow, I hope you'll check out the Legacy Builders program. It's a multifaceted approach to solving your marketing and online business problems. Whether you need a structured internship-like program with mentors to guide you, a playground to tap into your curious and creative nature, or a flight school to give wings to your dreams, we'll be here for you. There's a link in the description if you're ready to learn more. Just remember, you have a specific, unique calling to help others. And if the traditional ways of building your business aren't working for you, that doesn't mean that you're wrong, that you're broken, or that you're inferior. It simply means that you need a different approach to solving your impact and visibility problems. It's okay to market your practice more like a quirky boutique in Sedona than a flashy big box store in Orlando. And if you're not quite ready to take off into the skies yet, here are 2 videos that YouTube thinks you might like. Pick one and see where it takes you.